Alright, so we have another episode of my brother's 88 Mustang. He does all the work, so let's let him tell the story.
Hey guys, another Thursday night, track day eve, working on the 88. Still kind of going over my head, what may be holding me back. And I talked to a friend of mine yesterday, and he suggested that I'm not getting enough fuel on the motor still. So I'm going to check the fuel pressure, and yeah, let's look at that now. So I got this little rig here. Came off my 95 is how I was using the adjustable regulator on it, trying to dial it in. So we're gonna hook this up because it'll go straight to the little adapter on the fuel line. We'll get down here and take a looky-loo. There it is. So we're gonna go unhook the wet side of the nitrous kit, hook that in, and see how much pressure we have. It could be low. I would hope so. If it is, we can come over here to the regulator. And I've heard stories about people taking a socket and setting it down here on top of the regulator and smacking it with a hammer to jack the fuel pressure. So until I can get an actual adjustable regulator, it may be hammer time. Alright guys, well it's running with the vacuum unhooked off the regulator, and it's got plenty of fuel pressure, which makes me sad. I was hoping that it was like down around 32 or 34, 36, somewhere in there, but the pressure's healthy. So, guess we'll dive into this time machine tonight. No hammer time. Hey guys, take a little look at my formal education. After checking the fuel pressure, I remembered an article with a stock Fox. This is from January 2007. It's a 5.0 Mustang Super Fords. Anyway, they started from scratch with this car, and I'll show you what they installed. So they installed all these goodies. You know, they're brand new and shinier than what I have, but that's pretty much what I have on my car, minus the throttle body and EGR spacer. So when it was all said and done, they picked up a good bit of horsepower. Let's see. They picked up 43 horsepower with that little setup. That's impressive. Their setup was happy with 42 psi on the fuel pressure. My car's got 44. That's more. It may be too much. I won't know until I put it on a dyno and hook a wideband to it. I may actually need to back off on the pressure. But anyways, that was a kind of nice reference to have as far as fuel pressure and motivation also to go ahead and put a bigger throttle body and EGR spacer on the car, because it might benefit it, especially being a little high on fuel pressure. While I was hunting for this magazine, I came across this one. This one's really cool. I took an 89 into the 12s, relatively stock. Let me show you what they used to get this car in 12s. This is 5-speed, so the process is different. Here's the list of the goodies. They eliminated the AC, or the alternator bracket. They eliminated the AC, the power steering, and the smog pump. So it was just super simple, straightforward package, like what 5.0 Tussin runs. Electric fan, put the battery in the trunk, armrest delete, CD player doesn't count. They ran pro dumps on this car, welds. I don't know why they ran drag radials with stick, but that's what they did. And anyways, they were able to get it hooked and run a 12 something. Where is it? There we go. Their success was a 1291 at 103.7. That's a strong little car. This was a very low mileage car. It was like 40,000 miles, so a really fresh car to start with. But anyway, it's possible. 12s, anytime I get a car, my first goal is to get it in the 12s. So I always like these cool little articles. Here we go, guys. It's an update on the 88. Yesterday was Thursday, and I was taking it apart to put the timing chain in. So I'd be ready to go to the track tonight. I got hung up last night. Let's see if I can get the light right. I don't know if you can see them or not. 3 of my bolts that go hold the timing cover on broke off. Here's that other one. Anyways, they broke off, and I could not slip the timing cover free. I worked on it, and just didn't have any luck. So I loaded up to go to the track tonight with my 95. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's out there on the trailer. It's got slicks on the back, and it started raining. So I'm like, okay, let's change plans again. So I come back in here, and I went out to my barn, and I found that I've got this timing cover and another one out there. So the gloves came off. Here's my 2-piece or 3-piece or however many piece timing cover. I got in there and I got rowdy with it. First thing that broke off was the water pump. I guess y'all see that. So broke it off, and then once that opened up, I was able to reach inside the timing cover and just start breaking pieces off until I got it freed up and loose. What happens on these, it happened on my 95. I did not have the luxury of breaking my 95 because I didn't have another timing cover for one of those cars. In here, where the bolt goes through, you get a little bit of a leak, and over 31 years it will rust, and it'll seize itself to the cover. The bolt will seize itself to the cover, so like you cannot pull it towards you. It won't come. So, there was no grace or science behind getting that thing off. It was just put the pry bar somewhere where it won't break the other thing, and just bust it to pieces till it comes off. So it's free, it's off. I can get to the timing chain now. To be honest with you, the timing chain is not as sloppy as I had hoped. So I like finding problems. It's got a little sloppy here. You don't see this. It's got a little bit. I've seen worse. I figured it would be worse. But that's the update. Getting a new timing chain. I've got to clean up that other cover because it is filthy. But making progress on the 88. I've decided I'm going to put a big throttle body on before I take it to the track, and hopefully I can get my hands on a regulator and I can turn my pressure down. Richard's log, day 6. Broken bolt, sweating, dying, frustration. I don't know how much more I can take of this. Losing hope. But anyways, I got a torch, and I got some really good oil, and we're going to try it. This has been 6 days now. I haven't been on it for straight 6 days, but I'm glad it's not my daily driver. If it was, I'd be in a bind. But it is what it is. We're going to get this thing. I've got some ice cubes. I've got a little torch, and we're going to try to hit it with some thermal shock. And I also got like part of a bottle of nitrous, so I thought heating it up and then chilling it real fast. We just got to get these threads to move. We need some movement. This thing is seized up pretty good. So stay tuned. Here we go, tools of the trade. We got the fat boy. Hey man, that's awesome. We get along great. And then I told my dad I was using WD-40 as my penetrating oil, and he's like, that's junk. He's like, this is what you need. So there you go, a little shout out to this company. It's good stuff, I guess. So fingers crossed.
Okay, let me interrupt Richard real quick and share a quick story about Dad. One of Dad's stories about broken bolts. So let me set the stage a little. Whenever me and my brothers were little kids, there was always a Caprice, like the mid-'80s boxy style. My dad either had a Caprice, a Buick, Oldsmobile, Cadillac, but something with that body style. and over the weekend, Dad was going to change the cam in one of his Caprices because the lobes had gone round. And in the process of pulling everything off, one of the intake bolts snapped. So my grandpa was there, and Papa was a retired aircraft mechanic in the Navy, very good mechanic, and he suggested using, I don't know if it was a WD-40 or the Croil, the Aero Croil that Richard was just talking about, but they sprayed it down with that. I think they let it sit for an hour or two, schwacked it with a hammer, put some vice grips on it, and were able to break it loose, and then Dad was able to put the cam in the car. And if I remember the story correctly, this was a family car, the one that Mom would take to work. We'd haul the kids around in it, or they would haul us around in it, and Dad put an off-road cam in it. Okay, so we'll go back to Richard and see if he was able to get that bolt out.
Yeah, buddy, it is out. Look at that thing. Boy, it didn't want to come out. I like that stock block so much, it just didn't want to go anywhere. Now we look down there, and I have no bolts sticking out of the block. It's wonderful. Oh man, that's awesome. And I thank my dad for hooking me up with his torch, and it was getting a little nerve-wracking there. I said a prayer too, so praying works a lot better than swearing does. So anyways, victory, I'm grateful. Good morning. It's about 5 a.m. Saturday morning. Decided to slip out and work on the car this morning. One thing I did get done is I tapped all the holes that the timing cover goes to, timing cover and water pump. So they're all awesome. I use this, if you tell in the thing. It's not a bottoming tap. It's really better to use a bottoming tap for that. But I ground the point off of it, and I got a lot of crud out, so it's better than it was. So I feel warm and fuzzy about that. I'm about to slip the chain on. Show you, I got some stuff. Or I got a regulator. Thursday night I went to testing town, and a buddy of mine hooked me up with this. So, my gosh, wish I was coordinated. You know, it's got a BBK regulator to go on the car. Hopefully I can get take a little pressure out of it. Right now it's at 44. I'd like to get it down to 41 or 42. And then, in the interest of performance, we'll go ahead and slip our 65 millimeter throttle body and EGR spacer on the stock intake. And we'll see what that gets us. So, timing chain, throttle body, and regulator. I'm hoping that'll get us some good results. Stay tuned. Here's a tech tip. Y'all probably already know, but just to reiterate, because it's worth it. On 50 Tusson's channel, he was changing the cam in one of his cars, and he recommended soaking your timing chain in oil for a time. So anyway, this guy right here has been in there for days. This project's taking longer than I had hoped. But anyway, it's been in there for days. It is soaked, saturated, and ready. About to slip it on. But that's a good tech tip. You know, that chain spinning can't always, I don't think it gets oiled really well. And that's a good way to start its life off, is, you know, totally soaked. That way everything is good and saturated. So that's the tech tip. A little rambly, but you know, hey, that's how it goes. It is on like Donkey Kong. You got the chain and gears on, and you know, it's one more thing checked off the list. Behind that cam gear is a stock cam. But a little fun fact: back when the factory stock class of the NMRA required a stock cam, the early roller cams were the desirable ones. So like I think 85 to 88 were the best cams for the factory stock class. And one article, I might try to find it, track it down for y'all, but There's Robin Lawrence, his motor, he made 380 horsepower with the stock, early style cam, unported GT40s, and a Cobra intake. And he had other tricks up his sleeve, but stock stuff making 380. That's really impressive. That's just really cool to me. Is how quick you can go with stock stuff. So, anyways, a new chain and gears. Hopefully, this is gonna benefit us. The other chain was slack, not as bad as I'd hoped, but I hope this works. We're making improvements. We're going in the right direction. What better thing to do than work on this timing cover? It's a rainy Friday night. It's just dark out there. It's raining. It's dark. It was a gorgeous week, but it's raining now, so no track. So back to the 88. So I'm about to knock the timing or front seal and the timing cover. And this is something that's maybe kind of hard. Maybe not for some of y'all, but I've tried, tapping, in a circle to get it in, and I hadn't always had luck with that. But one thing you want to do is support it with a piece of wood. This is a busted up 2x something, probably 2x12. And anyway, set it under there, and then set the seal in there, and then I've got a steel plate. Let's see if I can give you a big steel plate. Anyway, it's bigger than the seal. Set that on top of there, and then with a hammer, actually I'm gonna use a bigger hammer than this, smack it in. That's an easy way to get your front seal in if the cover's off. If it's on the car, it's a little different story, but that's just a helpful hint. That's something I like. That's an easy way I do it. My goodness gracious, look in there. The timing cover is on. Got a new water pump. It's been a long time coming. I've been busy. Honestly, I've been lazy. I've taken advantage of good weather, and I've taken my other car to the track. I got sick, and now I'm better, so it's back together. I still got to do the throttle body EGR spacer and get back in there and replace the regulator. You can't see it, but I got stuff right here. It's on deck. It's coming soon, so stay tuned.
All right, so Richard got a lot of work done. I'm going to leave this video a cliffhanger just because it's getting kind of long. But in the next video, I'm sure we'll just have it where he's picking up with the, well, I guess it's whatever he films. But maybe it'll be the EGR and the fuel rail he was talking about. And maybe even a track trip if everything lines up perfectly, which we never know how that will go. But until next time.